Types of jamming antennas. What we call it as a first generation jamming antennas. Mostly they use horns with circle correlation. These are the conventional waveguide horns. This is the rigid horns. These are also rigid horns, and these are also rigid horns for one of the flight aircrafts we have developed. The second generation is because we need higher and higher ERP, which is the product of antenna gain and transmit power. There is a limit to increase the transmit power because of the high power requirement, cooling, so many other issues. The antenna, they found out the antenna is the main source for increasing the ERP by increasing the antenna gain by using the reflector antennas. But when you increase the gain, the beamwidth will go down. Then it reduces the coverage area. So you require a accurate DF system which can point this narrow beam onto the target. So we have implemented this using a auto track principle. That means these two arms work for elevation, these antennas work for amplitude. Elevation, this is elevation, this is azimuth. They work in amplitude comparison like this. When the signal issued by these two pairs are equal, the target, that means the target is coming along this direction. So the crossover is adjusted in such a way that the main beam falls on this crossover. At that time the jammer is switched on so that it is jammed at the peak of the main beam. So this technique we have implemented in 2 to 4, 4 to 8, 8 to 18, 8 to 40. All the bands we have implemented. This is the 18 to 40 antenna. When we were not having the infrastructure in our lab during the 96-97, we imported two antennas from Israel at the cost of $23,000 each. But within 6 months, we have developed this antenna, tested. The imported antenna, it was not meeting the requirement. When the GM visited DLR, we showed the results and we have rejected. He has immediately accepted the performance and he told, yes, it is not meeting the requirement, you can send back. And he has returned two antennas, we have returned $46,000, he has returned within 2 weeks. So whereas we have developed this antenna, costing only 63,000 rupees, only fabrication, testing facilities we have established and met all the requirements. This antenna we are using on a ground-based vehicle. This 6018 we have used in the shipboard platforms. So whatever jammer antennas we explained earlier, they can handle one target at a time, maximum 2 when they are falling within the beam. But the present scenario is like this. This is our ship which is costing say $1,000, $10,000 you can say, 10,000 crores. So the enemy can enjoy by launching anti-ship missiles from another ship and an helicopter and fighter aircraft. And it can be launching this missile from any direction. Under this situation, whatever we have explained, it cannot meet. So we have to generate multiple beams all around the ship, so that from any direction we have to counter that missile. So that to meet this requirement, these are the requirements. It should have wide spectral coverage, high ERP, high BOI, vector identification, threat warning, multi-thread jamming, wide angular coverage, low reaction time. All these can be realized by using rod millets what we have developed. This is again various techniques to generate multiple beams. This is the conventional phase that also you can use to generate multiple beams by duplicating the number of phases other things. But the complex will go up. This is called blast matrix, this is butter matrix, and this is the rod lens. It is a total passive and it can generate multiple beams by simply switching the port position at the input. Okay, this I am skipping detail now. So this is basic principle of rod lens. So the basic governing equations are these. I am making the path length is constant by using these three equations. And when I am exciting here, I am tracing the path like this. When I am exciting, I should have a wavefront in this fashion. So that means path length from this point to this point, I am making constant. This is one equation. If I am exciting here, I should get a, say suppose I am exciting here, then the wavefront should form like this. That means it has to travel more distance in this, less distance in this region, large distance in this region and more distance in this region, so that the waveform forms like this, so that wave can be formed in this direction. This is purely an equality of elliptical path length compensation. It is no phase shift, everything. Nothing is there. Only by controlling the path lengths, I am steering the phase front like this. When I am exciting here, this is the phase front. Wave is forming in this direction. If I am exciting here, phase front is like this. Wave is forming in this direction. If I am exciting here, this is the wave front. So this, but it's looking very simple, but it requires lot of analysis, simulation. So many things are involved. We have implemented, and the design we made in such a way that just you can put the input frequency, your scan angle, your coverage area. Based on that, automatically it will generate the total information. This is the basic principle of Rotman lens. Already I explained. So these are the various parameters which controls the amplitude and phase, and how these contours are selected also again an important thing. So we found that when contour heights are equal, irrespective of its curvature, it will give the best performance in terms of amplitude and phase distribution. This total analysis we have carried out and designed. Another important thing is the amplitude distribution across the array elements, where we are connecting the linear array. If I normally the elements are arranged normal to the contour. When I arrange the elements in normal to the contour, what will happen? Lot of asymmetry will come into picture. Then one method is when I am pointing this in center, this also you can point in the center. Even then we cannot get the required this one. A lot of analysis is carried out. We found that whatever this angle is obtained with respect to normal, if you tilt off of this, we got the best symmetric distribution across the elements. This we have implemented in practical lens like this and achieved the required performance. So another important design carried out here is whatever we have implemented earlier in LoRa, we implemented with Broadwell with SPM connector which can handle maximum 100 watts. If it is because at center band it was going up to 150 watts. Because of that the array was heating like anything within 3 to 4 minutes. So to cool that array, 1000 kg chiller unit we have provided to cool that, and the Navy was pressing us to design a new method to remove that chiller unit, because the chiller unit has to run from a distance of 10 meters. So we have took this as a challenge and designed again end launch type of transistors. So first what we thought, this is the horn portion. This portion we want to import from Spectrum and use. First he told he can supply the transistor with 35 mm length, then we thought it is okay. After placing the order, he told he cannot meet the ESR requirement. He increased to 75 mm. Still we have accepted. But when we connected here, the ESR was internal loss was coming only 4 to 5 dB. It was not meeting the requirement. Then I took as a challenge, and this transistor I implemented in the curved portion itself, and realized this adapter with you see sir, return loss, how beautiful it is matching. Then first I have designed this transition, then attach the horn and realize the element. But how? Because to handle 200 watts, because now we are using FEMs in present program, no other SPF cannot meet. Then we are facing the problem of connector limitation. Then we have to use the TLC connector. How to use it? Because my internet spacing only 9.5 mm, but my connector flange is 17.5 mm. So then because of the software 3D modeling, I have tried various ways. I have staggered this element. One is up and is down, up, down. So that 2 times the 9.6 I got the spacing, and I have incorporated the TLC connector. And like that I have duplicated and realized the 20 element array. This array we have realized, tested for 180 watts, where the temperature rise only 60 degrees, whereas the connector can withstand 160 degrees. So that 1000 kg chiller unit totally we removed. And that too we have extended the frequency band. Earlier is 7.5, now we will extend to 6 GHz. So this is the, see, Once we finalized using HFS simulation software, we have realized the array and plotted its radiation characteristics. This is the simulated radiation patterns. By using this, one technique is there, using master cell concept. You can use only one element, but you can simulate the total array and see these scanning characteristics, everything we can see in the simulation. That we have utilized that option and realized.
Conductor, you have used TNC.
TNC, sir. Because of TNC, it is compatible with 200 watts. There is no issue. So this is the Rotman's what we have realized, and this is the way we have staggered the ports, one up and one down. This is one 3 element unit. This is the array. We have model, and final. This is the final array. You see, sir, all that too. Earlier, one canal was going up and one going down. It was straining the cables. Whereas now, because of the staggering and bringing down to straight, we can use straight these connectors, cable straight, so that there is no strain on the connectors. This is Rear Admiral, name I forgotten. When he study, he upset like anything, sir, because yes, Kishan Pandey, when he came for that EV meeting, he told this is the major change. So this is the major radiation patterns. If you plot the same on the whatever I simulated, exactly 1 to 1 it is coinciding. Whatever you have measured, whatever you simulated, exactly 1 to 1 it is matching. This is the test model of the array. Same technique in one plane, we extended to 2-dimensional by using this stack of vertical and horizontal lenses. This is the lens configuration, and this is toplet, and this is the lens. In addition to that, we have implemented the printed circuit arrays also using Vivaldi arrays. This is the linear array. This is the planar array, what we have already realized using Vivaldi elements covering 6 to 18. This is one polarized antenna. We can using log periodics, planar log periodic. This is the PMC scale signal. This is all printed circuit antennas. This is the Vivaldi antenna 8 to 18 for use in a circular TF. So once this is another area. Radome is the one of the important area. It has to go hand to hand with antenna design. So these are the basic requirements for a radome. Transfer to EM waves, broadband, LoRa, SiSTEM, suitable for all types of platforms, all environmental. Then there are various types of radome shapes like conformal shapes, stabilized shapes. This is very important for airport. Non-conformal shapes, hemispherical shape where we use maximum for spiral antennas. Sphere, the ogive type. This is used for nose cone of the aircraft or missiles. Then different types of metals we use for skin, for sandwich configurations, and this is core materials what we use for. The core material should be syntactic for most of the time. We are having these very good properties. There are various types of radome types also: solid wall, two ply, and sandwich. So this is the various configuration of the radome panels. This is solid wall because it's a monolithic only with a single type. This is A sandwich. There are 2 skins and 1 core. This will give better strength and better performance in terms of bandwidth and loss. And this is B sandwich opposite to A sandwich. Whereas this is I directly constant, this is rho directly constant. This is C sandwich to A sandwich back to back. This is multi-layer. These are the various types of radomes what we have developed for various. This is for ground-based applications. This is for missile nose cone. This is hemispherical radomes for this spiral antennas. This is for streamlined lens for airborne platforms. This is for underwater applications. This is for underwater application. Sir, one challenge what we face here, sir, we have developed a direction binding system based on phase comparison for submarine platform. No open literature says that phase comparison system can be realized for a underwater application. We took as a challenge and developed the DF antenna for underwater. We have developed all the antennas array But we are facing a lot of problem with radon. There was no literature, no open literature to relate this radon. Then we approached various educational institutions. Even abroad when we talk, nobody is talking about the phase comparison DFO radon for underwater application. Then we took as a challenge again because everything was ready, radon was not. Without radon, submarine cannot be moved. So we took as a challenge, and at that time sir was the CC. Then he told, in my opinion, only multi-layer can meet the requirement. Then with that clue as the input, then we started simulating because of the thanks to HFSS. We took as a challenge, and 1 month we spent on this by going for different configuration. This is the first spiral line of we have designed covering 2 to 18 simulated. After getting satisfactory performance of the spiral, then we started designing the this sandwich radon with different shapes and different configuration. Finally, we arrived with a configuration of C sandwich with different wall configurations. Finally, went for fabrication. It met all the electrical requirements, but it withstood only 35 bar pressure. But we require 45 bar pressure. Then second iteration, again we went for next iteration. Second iteration itself we got the results. We fabricated 20 radars, tested, meeting all the requirements. Now we offered for the platform. That was a big hurdle. One day Mr. Radhigara, when he was leaving, he told, I think we have to close the project because of this. Otherwise, without radar it cannot be used. So that we took as challenge and met all the requirements. This is the measured patterns actually. So these are the various radars for different applications. So shall we continue, sir? Already one. Okay, just I will run. So now all these days, whatever we do, we are meeting all the requirements, but further requirements are coming. So now the trend is, now the requirement is coming that multifunction and shared apertures. The multifunction concept already has come for radar thing. From a single radar antenna, we are doing statistic track, all these things, 5 to 6 functions we can able to do. But shared aperture, because now the proliferation of the antennas on the platforms are increasing so much, because as of today people are using each antenna for each function. Suppose if it is a radar, he has to use radar antenna. If it is a communication, he has to use communication antenna. If it is a ESM antenna, jammer antenna. Then satellite communication, he has to use satellite antenna. So if you use so many numbers of antennas, what is happening? The RCS of the platform is going like anything, and users are telling us it is not acceptable. That is why